Dale can make that happen. First order of business, I won't tell anybody about the deed. There's been several questions about our deed of trust on the property. The pastor and I went and saw Josh Hankins, a title attorney up in Hendersonville. I knew him, so I called him. The property as we know it, our property, our playground, all this, from that fence to the street and that fence to the woods is ours. Free and clear, no problems, no questions. The 2.4 or 5 acres behind us, which has always been in question, was ours free and clear from 1994 to 2023. We got involved with going in and talking to the Rudy family, and during those conversations, things apparently got a little quirky or whatever. I don't know. Quirky is not the right word. But anyway, some confusion. Of course, this is one thing we tried to do on our own, and sometimes we get messed up. We try to save money and not do things, not hire people to do our talking for us. Anyway, the 2.5 acres behind us is owned now with us and the Rudys. In 20 years, that property will go automatically to the Rudys for eminent domain. They've been using it for 20 years at that time. We knew it. We didn't say anything about it. It will automatically roll over to them. We can fight this. It will depend on what was said in the meetings with Ms. Rudy and our trustee. I asked the man if he did these kind of court things. He said yes. I said, what's a ballpark figure to try to straighten this out? First, he said, we'll go to the Rudys and see if they'll just say, hey, it's a mistake, or we'll come to an agreement and they'll take their name off of it, or we take our name off of it, whatever. Anyway, if we have to go to court, we're looking at probably somewhere in the $100,000 range to fight it. We do have a very good case, but it does matter on what was said in the meeting in between those two people, our trustee and Ms. Rudy. But as I said, the property as we know it, which is a big concern of everyone, is ours free and clear. There's no problems on our church property as we know it. Now, there's been several people who thought we were coming here today to vote on going into the Global Methodist Church. That was not the reason of the meeting. However, we have been to, we had the guy come and talk to us. There's been some question and answer sessions back and forth, I think with Dennis when he's doing the sermon. If you didn't know, when we were disaffiliating, we would have probably 99% sure we would have gone to the Global Methodist Church if they had been an organization at the time. They'd had their organization set up and were in business. We were threatened, more or less, by the UMC that, yes, you can go to the Global Methodist. However, if they fail, you will automatically come back to us, and you'll be locked into us. Your property will be locked into us. So, of course, we did not, as you know, we went independent. We're Pennington Fellowship Church. So I'll ask, are there any questions? We have, the Global Methodist Church, of course, is a very good organization. It goes back to the basic roots of the Bible. They believe in the Word. We would be the only Global Methodist Church in Davidson County, Nashville, which could give us a big benefit. People that want to go to a Methodist church or go to the Global Methodist Church, they would only have one house to come to, and that would be ours. That could be very beneficial to us in growth, these type of things. Does anyone have a question or a concern about the Global Methodist? Yes, Kelly.
Yeah, I thought it was great that he came and talked. Of course, the only concern, but finance chair, so normally I'd be a little concerned about the money. So, when you hear the finance report here in a few minutes, you'll see why. And my understanding was we would need to give them a portion of our,
We would go back to apportionments like we did with the UMC. I believe the gentleman said here it would be like 4%, 4.5%. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but I think that's the number I heard.
and do we think that would be locked in, or would that creep up year over year over year?
I can answer that. The Global Methodists have written it into their bylaws, and that number is not supposed to change. That number, you know, in the past, nobody really knew the calculation for apportionment. These are your tithe and offering to the conference. They're not called apportionments, but it was, whatever that number is, was built into their bylaws, and it is not supposed to change. So if you're a church that makes $5 million, you pay that 4%. If you're a church that makes $50,000, you pay that same percent. That's it.
Did I misunderstand, or maybe I dreamed it, when he was talking about that, was there potentially an out? Like if we weren't able to pay our bills, or, didn't you kind of phrase that a little bit?
We can leave.
We hope you would,
We can leave the global method. We're not locked in. We can call them, well, I think you asked for 30 days.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the, proportionate, I thought that was like.
You didn't say it was mandatory.
Right, I mean, the way he addressed that, which I'm assuming we would want to do our part, but, yeah,
I didn't get the impression it was like mandatory, you had to do this, but that everybody did it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's,
To be part of.
they want that, but if something was to happen that we couldn't, I think they take that into consideration.
That's what I.
Deborah?
I looked at my notes, and what he said was the percentage, but he said, we don't even bill people, we don't done it.
Okay,
And they have found out that the churches that they have in 6 or 7 states that they have actually voluntarily pay more than they're asking. But it almost was like, if you're struggling, you won't ever get a bill from us. Which I thought was pretty reasonable.
Right, I think they're very lenient on that. Yes, Joe?
4% of what number?
yeah.
That's 4% of what number?
4% of what, how do they figure the apportionments? I never knew it, how they figured it with the UMC. So is it 4% of what?
Total tithes and offerings.
Total tithes, pastor says total tithes and offerings. That would be a yearly, I assume, that'd be a yearly thing on our total tithe. That's probably, it's probably the same way UMC did it, I guess.
No, that was
a formula.
of the budget.
Of the budget, okay. So this is actual money that comes in,
Yes, it is.
which is actually,
And they're only 18 months old. I mean, this global ministry.
True.
And they could, even though it's written in their bylaws, they can change their bylaws at any point. And, you know, and then we pay more down the road.
Well, one thing.
And you can leave in 90 days.
Yeah.
That's the good part, without paying them a fortune.
yes, you can leave the Global Methodist, you said 90 days, I thought it was 30 days, but whatever. With without writing a check. We wrote a big check to the UMC, $152 or $3,000, whatever.
Just said you had to write a letter saying you want it out. Wait 90 days, write a letter, and that's it.
So as a membership, would you like to vote today on possibly or going to the Global Methodist Church or getting that ball rolling to go to the Global Methodist Church? No. Okay. Let's see a show of hands for people that would like to move forward with the Global Methodist.
Wait, are you saying to vote today?
No, just to have more discussion.
To get the ball rolling, see exactly what we got to do, that kind of thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
This is to get the ball rolling, just to look at it. Is that right?
Consider it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, any opposed to,
It's not that I'm opposed, I'm actually very interested, but I'd like to, I'm very interested. And I have
Okay.
someone who's part of it, but I think right now with everything else going on, it would be best for us to wait a little bit before we start something else.
yes, I mean, by a show of hands, that was 11 to 7, but I agree with you. That's not a strong enough number to say, yes, let's move on with it. We can have another meeting. Are you interested in putting a committee together or 4 or 5 people together to talk about it, or what? It's your church. It's up to you. Cindy?
I just think we have enough issues right now here on our table, and there's not many of these issues here that going ahead and having yet another cosmic shift to another church brand would help us with at this point, right this very minute. I think it's something that maybe in 6 months, then we might want to address it if we do well with working on these things.
Okay. Kelly?
Yeah, just, I guess I see them, I feel like our church is not gonna make it if we don't get more membership.
I agree.
Our aging congregation is a problem, and if we don't get membership, I don't know how when you see the financials, we're not bringing in enough to cover our bills. We're not really bringing in enough to fix all that. Actually, so to me, what I clearly heard is if we shifted to the global, that could, there's no guarantees in life, except one, could bring in significant membership for this church, because Nashville would have an option for the UMC, the people that wanted to stay in the United Methodist. They didn't want to leap out on a independent church, but now that they have an option to go global, which might align more with their beliefs, we would have, I think, hope, an opportunity to grow this membership. And without growth, we're not going to make it.
Vicky?
I would like to see us wait till next year. Let the global ministry grow another year. They're only 18 months old. We've got a lot of that's happening in our church this year. Let's get ourselves situated. And I realize as the past treasurer that we don't have enough money. We did not cut our budget enough for this year. We cut it, what, $2,000?
No, it's not. It's neutral. It's budget neutral. I mean, if you're less than $500, the same as last year.
I would have voted to cut the budget more. There are some expenses that we don't need at this time. When you are running your household, you do away with going out to eat if you don't have the money. Or you cut your grocery bill and eat more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches than you do steak. And I don't feel like that we have done that yet in this church. Just my opinion.
Okay, I mean, everybody has a voice, right?
We'll
Deborah?
talk a little bit about budget in a few minutes.
I tend to go with Kelly. Nothing has worked for us. People, we've been saying, we've got to make changes, we've got to increase our attendance, we've got to get our monies up. Nothing has worked. Listen to this guy. So what if we join them and we don't pay a penny of the 4% or 4.5% that they're asking? They're not going to come after us. It's easy to get in pay, we can't pay. When he said that every one of their churches that put that sign out, Global Methodist, every one of them increased. That is why I thought, this is a good thing. But what's it gonna cost us to get out of it? Well, actually, it doesn't cost us, he said, the cost of a postage stamp. It's easy in, it's easy out. We have been hearing for years, we've got to do something. We're losing members, if nothing else, because we're so old and people can't live forever. And some of those members, I suspect, I don't have a clue, but based on when we ask for missions and stuff, we know he hands us money. I suspect a lot of our better paying or more, they have the money. Younger people may not. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But I feel like waiting a year just putting nails in our coffin. I'm sorry.
But did we not
Vicky?
just vote no, we weren't ready to do
I
it?
do, I'm sorry.
I need to pursue checking on it. See if this is what
We
we're
voted no. I mean, I thought we just voted, that we
Okay,
weren't ready to
but
check
what
on
about-
it.
Actually, by the hand vote, we voted to proceed with seeing what would be involved. It was 11-7 by a hand vote for proceeding to see what's involved in joining. Laura?
Well, at least that way, I'd like to find out things like, do we have to go through a name change or anything with it? Which is a lot of red tape, but that's the kind of thing I'd like to have answered, like as far as, our church remaining Pennington Fellowship Church or not. I mean, we know that we retain our property in our church building no matter what. I mean, those are the kind of questions I'd like to get more specific with.
Any other,
If we
Vicky?
did go forward with information.
Okay.
Perhaps instead of eating up a whole lot of our time, we do have these other issues that we want to address. Maybe there could be another meeting set up where those who are interested in educating themselves about global can come to those meetings. I think we should have more than one.
Well, I agree.
And before we get into putting a committee together and doing exploratory and doing the running the numbers and all that, I think there just needs to be a comfort level. I just think that people need to be talking, not just people in this room today, but I think there needs to be more informational discussions about this on different levels.
Vicky?
But I'm not against it.
Okay. Vicky?
I do agree with Deborah that we need to change. I love changes. You know, I'm one of those people that can throw pixie sticks down and be comfortable. Other people are not. I'm just asking or stating that we do need to change, but we want to make the correct change and not waste our time on something else that's not gonna fit for this church.
Okay, I'll throw out this recommendation. In 60 days, February, March, April, the second Sunday in April, that will give us time to people to talk, to do their own study, go online, research it, whatever. We'll meet back here again just to talk about the Global Methodist, not our church-wide meeting. And we'll do that in 60 days.
Probably not on Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday, okay. Pick another day. We'll figure a day and I'll send it out to everybody. Thank you, the voice from above. Nelson?
I agree with the date. I also would like maybe some members of the Kentucky Global Methodist Church. We've had the bishop. Let's hear from some of the members.
There's a Global Methodist Church in Gallatin. It was Hendersonville United Methodist Church, and the larger percentage voted to depart, but they didn't have the percentage, so there is one nearby. Joe and we have friends who go to church there and can ask them about it. I mean, there are don't have to necessarily have to go to Kentucky.
That's great.
Sounds good.
And also, if someone wants to put together maybe some questions, a list of questions, why he wants to gather that up, we might could send those questions to the Hendersonville Global Methodist or whatever, and get some ideas from them too, and then ask them to come in. But anyway, right now, we will kind of table this for about 60 days. Is everybody approve of that? Okay, thank you. Other business that we have to, just some ideas. We've got to come up with something about a projector. This is a used projector. It's not even on now. This one on this side is a used projector that we bought that's working for the time being. It doesn't adjust quite right to our screens. I think that's correct. The voice from above would have to answer that. But a new projector is somewhere in the $7,000 to $10,000 range. We found that out when we were looking for the projector for this side. We will have, the roof is not quite finished. It'll probably be finished, well, it's raining all week. It's basically finished. We will have money left over from the roof fund, from that insurance money. Possibly we could put that into a projector. I'm just throwing some ideas out. I just want people to think about it. This is not a day necessarily to decide on this. But we do need to do something about the projector, get it up on both sides. Yes, Mike.
Do we have any light bulbs
I've noticed that.
that were right there? I was looking for these, I didn't find it.
Those were, electrician brought those in and put all those in. We stand a 32-foot ladder up and we hold it while somebody climbs it.
Yeah, it's what we, yeah.
We hold it straight up. I didn't realize it. Now it's on. It's flashing. It's going bad. Just to let you know, Week of Hope will be coming back. I don't have the dates yet. It'll be like the 3rd week of June through the 1st or 2nd week of August. We should make pretty much clear all the money on that because we have the showers made, as I'm sure you all know, they're in the backyard. So we don't have any expenses when they come. Our contract with them is $10,000. They pay all the trash. They pay all the gas, the heat, the water for the showers. So we will be having them back this year. I want y'all to think about the appearance of the building. We're talking about going global, or it really doesn't matter if we go anybody. The front of this church looks really rough. It's looked this way for it's been neglected for a decade or better. We've got to figure out something to try to make the church look better, the building. It's got a lot of black mold on the front of it. Y'all know this. And it's like one of these deals, you drive in every day, you don't think anything about it, you don't look at it. But people wanting to come here, they for sure look at it. And if you were going to a new church, you would for sure look at the outside, the yard, and everything else there too. That is something that we need to consider. I got some estimates to paint this thing a year and a half, 2 years ago from 3 different people. And it's anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000 to paint the whole building. It's not a cheap undertaking, but it is something that we do need this year to try to take care of, just to spruce up the church. Any questions about Andrea?
The beautification committee, we don't have that anymore, and the beautification committee purchased that beautiful bird bath, and I have no idea where the bird bath is. It was supposed to be out in front there. It was left here in the church because there wasn't a decision.
I think it's in the music.
It's in the music room.
I'm not sure why we do there instead of out in front, but
Yeah.
But anyway, that would be when we discussed at that time, planting more flowers around the garden there. And also the sign that's in the front on the road that now has said, about East Tennessee, the big board. We discussed painting that or doing something, some of us could do some things if we just got the beautification committee going again, not to spend money, but to see if we can't get volunteers to work on some stuff.
That's very true. And if somebody want to come and paint the boards, come up here with a gallon of paint and feel free to paint it. I mean, we'll get them painted. But you're right, you're absolutely right. Mary Lee?
Could we not use the week of hope money this year towards the appearance of the church, towards getting it painted?
Possibly the board hadn't talked about that yet or whatever to do. It has been mentioned to try to use that money to spruce up Fellowship Hall.
Okay, well, there's just a question.
That's a good question. Was there another, Cindy, somebody else have something?
I just wanted to say, there are cans of paint kind of floating around here, you just need to read the labels, you may find it's something you can use without even having to go back and buy a cent worth of paint.
True. I've said this before, I mean, well, to the board or on some of the committees. I would like some ideas on putting together a questionnaire about everything about this church. When you drive on the grounds, everything, inside, outside, the service, choir, sermons, appearance of the church. I'd like to get a detailed questionnaire and send it out to the members and non-members. I think non-members, visitors would be the best people in the world to send it to, because you get an honest answer from them because they're the ones visiting. But I would like some help in that if somebody would put some questions together. This agenda, I did not type this. I assure you, this is not my cup of tea. I might get Kelly to do the questionnaire. But we need to know what people think without having to say it in front of somebody, be anonymous. We need honest answers to honest questions about our church. And I would like some help in that. So if you want to put some questions together, send them to me or whatever. Several people will kind of combine it. We'll make a questionnaire up. Andrea?
I realize I'm talking a lot, I didn't mean to. But in a previous church, people also did questionnaires about what their talents were, so that if you were looking for someone might actually be a painter, or their son-in-law's a painter, whatever. And also, I know when we did the new directory, we didn't have all the phone numbers. I think every person who attends this church should fill out a little form that says, this is my email that I want you to send, this is my home, you know. And so that at least it's in the office. I know that if Pam doesn't know someone, she can't actually ask them for it. I think it would be a great help for Dennis, it would be a great help for visit, it would be a great help for everything. So I think that should go along with what you're talking about, what we do now, and we want every person to be involved. We need to get information from those people, you know. So I would agree.
That's very good. Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry for talking.
Is there, at this point in time, is there any more questions or statements before I bring Kelly to do her work? I would like to back up 1 second about the deed. On this property right here, there is a lien on this property. Back in the 90s, the church took out a $187,000 loan with a William Brent, yes. And it's been paid. The attorney was not concerned about that. He says this happens a lot in churches where a member or something will loan the church money. It just hasn't been taken off our books, off the title. So it's no big deal. We'll get that taken care of. Also, Arthur called me the other day asking about this. He couldn't come to the meeting, of course. He would like to still have even though we have a clear deed, he would like to have title insurance on the property. A title search, well, not a title search, but it's called title insurance. We get it when you get a house, you have title insurance. It proves that there's no liens or anything on the property. I would like to go ahead and check on that, the cost. I'll check with the guy that did the thing. It shouldn't be a whole lot of money. But is there any issues with that? Anybody opposed going ahead and doing that? Okay, thank you. Kelly, it's your turn.
Stand up there, or can I just stand here? I don't need that then. Y'all know how loud I am. See, I blow your ears with talking. Okay, quick financial update, starting with this little, not the numbers, but the other. Couple of logistics, new finance chair was assigned in 2024. Vicki resigned her treasurer position. Vicki, thank you for all the years of work that you did for the church. Really appreciate you for that. And thank you for helping me learn the ropes of my new role. On resources, one other significant piece with Vicki's resignation, the Finance Committee did some research of several companies that could take on our bookkeeping and even payroll responsibilities, vetted that down to 2 different vendors and took that to the admin council. It was approved for us to move forward effective January 1st. We have an agreement with a local CPA firm called Puryear and Noonan. They will be doing our bookkeeping and payroll effective in January, even though it's February. They're going back. Kevin, shout out to you for getting all that set up with them. They do work on QuickBooks, so they basically took the books that Vicki had created over the years and getting that in their system so they can help us going forward. Any comments on PNY, PNN, not PNY? Okay, Kevin has an onboarding call on Tuesday. So, Vicki?
I just have a question. Are they paying the bills also, or are they just doing? No, ma'am. Okay, so who is paying?
Pam is still currently paying the bills.
Okay, because Susan sent me an email, and she needed a check for Ellie this morning, and I knew that Pam and Jim Holder had been, in charge of
They're close,
the
yeah.
bills since I'm not anymore, so I told her to check with them. And so I thought everybody should know that if Pam is gonna pay the bills, or, and Jim can
So-
write a check at the moment in case anybody needs anything. If you've got a yellow slip or
Yep.
something, give it to Pam, I assume, and Jim, is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. And I don't know if y'all are aware, but checks here require 2 signatures. So currently, that's why I'm not sure if it's official yet, Vicki, but we've submitted the paperwork for Jim, Pam to have access because they're here a lot, and then I also can checks.
If it requires 2 signatures, do you not need to have at least 3 people who can sign in case?
There is. Jim, Pam, and me. Thank you. Okay. On to budget 2025. All the chairs submitted their budget requests. Those were reviewed by Finance Committee, moved by the Admin Council. So we have an official budget. It was pretty much flat from prior. We did cut some of the expenses because we needed to make for some expenses that we had that were not budgeted. So that was a little bit of a wash. Like any company, our major expenses are, this is a very thin budget for, like, we are not extravagant in our expenses. Anybody who's a committee chair can say amen to that, because y'all do not have much in your budgets. So really it's our FTEs. We only have 3 of those. So we have our pastor, we have Susan, Pam, we did have Vicki's, now that's being outsourced, and James, our custodian. And who? Carolyn. Oh, Carolyn, yes, and Carolyn. I'm sorry, Carolyn. Forgive me. Save the best for last. So, that being said, it was flat. We probably are going to need to adjust it just a little bit for the outsourcing per year in Newman. So that expense will go up a little bit. Don't really know what else to say on budget 25. Any questions on that? Carolyn?
Back to the outsourcing, is that $500 a month?
It is. Yep.
They pay them $500 a month, or do they want something else?
500 a month. And it's month to month.
They don't want a year or anything?
Mm-mm. Nope. Okay. So let's talk about performance 2024. Just a couple of call outs. I did not bring a big, put like year end, summarized it for you because it tells the story pretty well there. But a couple of call outs. Expenses ran over budget 8 out of 12 months. So not even hitting it 50-50. It's about $13,000 over budget, our expenses were. Expenses also ran over deposits 10 out of 12 months to the tune of about $30,000. So again, not a good story to be telling. The only little piece of sunshine I can find here for you is we do separate out our dedicated fund accounts. We don't count those in the revenue because we can't use those to pay for our general payments because they're dedicated for a special purpose. So the good news there is we actually were positive on that. So we do have about $33,000 in dedicated funds. We ended with more fund account than was spent during the year. Interestingly, if you think about that, it's almost the same as our deficits. So, if some of our funds were reallocated to like general fund, we'd have basically broke even and not been in the red. So just a call out. No problem paying our bills. I didn't put that on here, but while I'm giving a little bit of gloom and doom, I mean, it's money. It's we're not paying bills. I mean, we are paying our bills. We are not a problem paying our bills currently, but would be nice again if we could get some additional membership in here to help with our expenses. Cindy.
Could we get the actual detail that backs up all of these, the actual versus the budgeted for each of the 12 and 24, so we can see where the big dips and swings and highs and lows are in the number of people?
If you would like that, we could probably arrange for you to see whatever you want to see.
Yeah, you can just email it.
I don't have that. I don't have that by email. Like, that's going to require a little work.
We can't have a QuickBooks spreadsheet printed out, so the
Defer to my QuickBook experts to answer that for you. Kevin, Vicki.
we don't see any of that.
They're not seeing
I
that.
want to know where the money's going. You're telling me that we're not hitting our budget 12 months. I want to see where we're messing up here. Or if we're simply, that we need to adjust our categories on what our realistic expectations are.
So the financial reports in the board meeting are not made out, are not available to everybody?
They're supposed to go out every board meeting.
They're not, Cindy, I can give you that.
Well, I mean, are you okay with that? I mean, I just.
I think we're all with everybody seeing numbers. There's nothing, I would just tell you, there's nothing glaring I mean, it's just, when we're over, it's because we didn't have something budgeted and it's a new expense, but I think everybody should be able to see the books and.
Once a month and we saw, we had this big expense for water because we have a water problem in the building. Somebody will say, well, let me give more, let me help cover this extra $400,
So, a quick question, I wasn't aware of this because I'm still kind of learning my role, but the financial reports are supposed to go to everybody in the congregation?
Yes,
All-
every month.
Well, I think then we just need to ask Pam that after we have our meetings and we go through the packet for those to be sent out by email.
Or, we get our weekly newsletter every time, and when the financials are available, just attach it on the Monday newsletter
Yeah.
along with a prayer list and the newsletter itself. That way, everybody gets the same thing every single month.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you're not asking to do another email, just add it.
Right.
just add it.
It's just for knowledge, it's just to understand.
Who's going to follow up with Pam on that request? Dennis, you got that one? Thank you. Okay, and then the back just kind of does give you the 12 months, so it's the high-level summary there, so again, you can see. And then our checking, savings, investment accounts is on here. Edward Jones was higher than that, but we pulled the $43,000 out to pay for the roof, which we stuck in Edward Jones to collect some interest while we were figuring out what to do with the roof. Got a great deal on the roof, by the way. In my opinion, that came out really, really good, Jim. So, yeah, there it is. Any questions on finance report? Mary Lee.
I'm just curious, the dedicated accounts on the back, the balance is 32,787 on the back of the sheet. And that's in the checking account, which we don't use that part. But there was a total of 72 in there, and 43 of it was Edward Jones for the roof. So does that mean we don't have any spendable money in the checking account? Because that
We
adds up
should
to
have 72,000 minus 43,000 today.
But does that include the 32,000 from the dedicated accounts? Yes, it does.
Well, that's an annual. Yeah, yes, it would.
Well, that adds
Yeah.
up to more than $72,000, that plus the Edward Jones.
I'll be glad to talk about it after the meeting and get a pen and paper out.
Okay.
Can't address that here. Thank you, though. Next.
Thank you. I would like to say something about what Kelly said. We have never, I don't believe, I can be corrected, we have never taken any money out of Edward Jones to pay bills, monthly bills. We've put money in, like for the roof, and then drew it back out. Of course, we took $150,000 out 2 or 3 years ago for the disaffiliation, but we do not go into Edward Jones monthly or quarterly or any time that I'm aware of and taking any money out to pay our bills. Our bills do get covered. Okay, we're to the part where the board members, the administrative board members, everyone has decided that they would stay if you chose for them to stay. So I will go through here line by line. You see it on your agenda. And I guess we won't have to do a hand. We just do a yay or a nay. I don't like my name being the top. I'm going to skip my name. HR has been Kevin for a couple of years, and she has decided to stay if y'all would like her to stay. So everyone that would like Kevin to stay on as HR chairperson, please say aye. Any opposed? Kevin opposed herself. All right, the ayes carried, so Kevin will be HR for another year. The finance chair is Kelly, of course. She's fairly new to this, but she's chosen to butt her heads with everybody. And anyway, everyone in favor of Kelly staying on as finance chair, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carried. There I am again. I've been lay leader for several years since Hubert was here. And I really do. I like serving the church. It's meant a lot to me. I've only been here 5 years. And I learned what a church family is. So if y'all like me to stay on, anyway, all in favor of me staying on as lay leader, please say aye. And any opposed, I'm looking. Any opposed? No, that's why I don't like standing up here doing this. Oh, there. I got some opposers. There you go. The ayes carried, though. And then we get to my position as chairman of the administrative board, which has been a great honor. Anyway, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Yes.
Jim, I had no idea what it took, like behind the scenes, to run a church.
I didn't either.
Get involved in all these committees. And, yeah, it is a rude awakening. I just want to thank you. You're everywhere. I mean, you are really an amazing individual, and we are very fortunate to have you here in the church, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you all. Like I said, you become my family. I never knew what church family was. Now I understand. And I do get emotional when I talk about it. Thank you. Mary Lee will be leaving her position at the end of February. There's a lot to that job. Don't think it's just taking up money and making a report about it. It's all the yearly reports, sending out the statements, the statements for the IRS and things at the end of the year, or giving you your statements. Breaking all that money down into all the different funds, kitchen, dedicated, that's the same, but kitchen, choir, Week of Hope, whatever. She has to break all that down. And so we are looking for someone that might be interested in that position. You can talk with Mary Lee or the pastor about that position. And I would like someone to think about that and possibly step up. The last one is trustee. Nelson, as he put it, he aged out. And thank you, Nelson. You did a great job. And Mary Lee too, yes. We do have someone that has put their name in the pot for trustee chair. This person deals with billions, with a B, dollars of budget all over the world. Deals with all kinds of equipment, employees, everything. Anyway, and there's Teresa Potts. Teresa's put her name in for trustee. And so I would like to ask for a show of hands.
I have a question.
Yes.
I thought trustees voted their own chairperson. I do too.
They do.
Before I'm sorry, I'm not.
Trustees committee in the past, trustees voted their own chairperson. It didn't come to the church.
It does.
Is it different now? I'm just asking.
It's in our bylaws. It's the church.
Oh, that changed in the bylaws? I didn't know.
I don't know about changing, but
Trustees is always on it on their own.
Yeah, they've always.
So, under the United Methodist, you are correct that the trustees would vote in their own. I think under the current bylaws, it's either or.
Oh.
Could be.
I'm just asking. Nothing against. Nothing against you, though. Having somebody wants it. Yeah.
okay, to get through today, unless this changes, would anyone, for show of hands, to approve Teresa Potts of being trustee? We will go through the bylaws. We will look at this.
I'm sorry, I would love to ask a question.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sorry, yes.
Are you able to be
Teresa also writes, she does a huge business with the military, and she writes all their contracts. So she understands contracts. So, any other questions of Teresa or whatever? Yes, Kelly? Oh. Hold on, wait.
Somebody wants it.
Okay. Unless this changes after we read we get more into the bylaws. All in favor of Teresa being trustee for the next year, please raise your hand. All opposed, put your hands down. All opposed, anyone opposed Teresa being?
Teresa, did you hear what someone said? Your first job was to replace the light bulb?
I know who that will fall on. All right, Teresa, welcome to the group. Any other questions about this part of the meeting? And it's a note on here, and Kelly did touch on it. And every email I send out, or most of the emails I send out to the board, I thank them for their time, because it is a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time. There's a lot of days they would rather go eat like I would instead of sitting in an hour-long meeting after service. So they put in time. Andrea?
Yeah, are we, and I don't know for sure, are we nominating anyone for, say, HR committee or something? For some reason, I thought we were doing that, but maybe not.
HR committee will fall under nominations and Kevin. Yeah. All right. The last section of our service is the pastor. So here you go, Dennis.
Okay, I'm going to use this lectern. Is this on? Okay, here. This is on. Okay, the state of the church. This is a very typical report from any state of the church in a pastor's report. In a single word, we're declining. That means we're declining in membership, cash flow, and people willing to serve and make a positive difference. It is reflected in the tasks and duties that need to be performed around the church on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. And if this continues, the church will eventually fall into total disrepair, and then the downward spiral accelerates. You can look around, I don't have to point these things out, and you can see the demographics of our church and immediately recognize what I'm telling you. If you do the math, I think we have 7 people that are in their 90s. I don't recall what the number is in their 80s. And we are not adding people. That is not a good future projection. However, sometimes God provides opportunities by opening a door, and sometimes God closes doors for something much greater to follow Him that will enable and elevate Him. Very possibly, God may be slowly closing the doors here. Jim, who was mentioned several times already, and I feel compelled to mention this as well, has been a great asset to this church. He is here very regularly, not every day, as some have said. Honestly, you may be in significant trouble already if Jim wasn't here as often as he is. He is here making contacts with people to do repairs. He is here organizing and running down vendors and personnel to benefit this church. The latest example, I think somebody said, was the roofers. Jim has made this church a priority in his life and to answer God's call. He does this at his own time and expenses. Many times I've asked him to submit a yellow sheet for reimbursement, but he tells me it's his contribution. I found it interesting that today's message was on volunteering. I've heard several people say today we've got plenty of paint and plenty of cans of paint, and we know those signs have been needed to be painted for over a year now. But I feel as if God is sending another clear message to all of us in this congregation, and we can all make a positive difference if we really wanted to. It's not up to you to leave this to the next person or thinking the person next to me will take care of it. We just need to do what's right in God's eyes. We can begin by loving one another, and I'm including myself in that. I know that there are people here that this church may never get off its back, because if somebody says left, for the sake of argument, they're going to say right. I know who they are. I think most of you know who they are. And we still love them nonetheless and have to continue loving them. But God has given us the provisions to do the right things in this church, all of us. God has given us the provision to invite somebody else. I ask that occasionally and often. And I find it interesting that when we were putting together our bylaws, and we were going, one of the committees that were completely eliminated was the Committee on Evangelism. How do you expect to grow without an evangelist? How do we expect to put together ideas to invite somebody into the church? All of us can increase our giving and our financial contributions. I never preached on that. Some preachers have made that a weekly exercise to the point of pressure. It's not what I do. I think you know what's on your hearts. I think you know the circumstances here. I'm not going to do that. Every one of us knows what God expects and what the appropriate giving looks like for us. I am not pressuring anybody. There is a long-term consequence for us not doing those things. We may take an extra minute or two before we find a need to complain. I hear very, very few ideas and thoughts and offerings, but I hear a lot of complaining, condemnation, and criticism. We can truly be a church that is committed to prayer and asking God to allow us to grow, both individually and as a church, and to listen to His response. This is an aged congregation. Look around. And from what I see, it's been, I know this to be the case. This goes back over 40 years since you've had youth here. Some of you may argue with me or say that's not true, or new members for that matter. And I know this because the very first day that Jerry Box walked me through here, there were still pictures hanging up on the walls in those Sunday school classes that were from the 80s. This didn't just happen. This congregation did just not wake up and say, we're dwindling. As we talked earlier, this church needs some repair states that have been absent for far too long. I think it was Kelly or Jim or somebody mentioned exterior paint, refreshing fellowship hall. And now that the roof has been repaired, we need new ceiling tiles that are not stained from leaking. I personally, for many reasons, I'm in favor of the Methodist going to the global church. As mentioned earlier, just by default, those churches have been picking up members who have left the United Methodist Church, and those people still want to be called Methodists. There's an abundance of global Methodist churches in Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia. But there really are 0 in Nashville. 1 in Goodlettsville, but 0 in Nashville. My question is, are we prepared to receive new members? I know we'll say vocally and we'll say out loud, yes, of course, we always want new members, but that means allowing them to participate and being part of the congregation. We'd like to say welcome, but ask yourself what a new member would expect from this congregation or from this church. Some things might be as simple as a fresh look, cleaning the place up in Fellowship Hall, modern Sunday schools or activities for children and youth. I know that's what young families are looking forward to. This is a vision this church needs to address if it's going to continue to go forward. As we mentioned today in the Psalms, those who have no vision are certain to die. That's all I have on the church. A couple of points. All church personnel who hold a paid position or a volunteer position, unlike last year, I wanted to review each and every individual, but it was decided there was no reason to review the not paid individuals. This year we're doing it, paid and unpaid. And I'd ask you to select the time and date and put it on the calendar outside of Pam's office. Visitations, the only reason I put this down or have an asterisk beside it, I've heard several people, pastor that doesn't visit, doesn't go out and visit. I'd gone through my logbook, my daily planner. The least I visited in 1 month was 16. The most I visited in 1 month was 20. That's for your edification. You don't hear me speaking about whom I visit, and it's simply because I consider those confidential unless the family member or the individual says it's okay to share this information. Not provoked. That has to come from them. Because I'm not willing to divulge anything that may be confidential. The fact that I was even called to visit with somebody may be confidential. During my visits, I offer Holy Communion and prayer. Many times, some of you may or may not know, who certainly can corroborate this, Laura has accompanied on many of those visits. Jim has been with me on some of those visits. I will not visit any female alone or by myself. And I rarely have visited a man by myself for the same reason, although I've done it a few times in the past, the circumstance requiring it. One of the things that is required of me from our bylaws and my contract is to remain current. Current meaning my education and involvement in the church. I continue to check that box by visiting Methodist. Some of you may or may not know that my paperwork is held by the Global Methodist Church and the annual conference. I've been at all the required gatherings that have been in St. James Church in Lexington, Kentucky. In addition to my requirements, I provide Bible studies, and I'm required to make certain that we are being taught a holistic, Bible-based, mission-critical information. I do that in every class that I lead. And the classes that I don't lead, I can't comment on. I've not been invited to those classes. I've not shared any information from those classes. Moving forward, my last comments. I have several bullet points I'd like to see occur in this church, God's house. First, the funds have been raised and are available to light this cross, and that was what was dedicated and planned when we raised money from Week of Hope last year. Both this cross and the light outside Fellowship Hall. I think that will be a beacon to the world and to show this church off evenings when they're traveling up and down Briley Parkway. After I spoke with Dennis Blackwell, I believe he'll be able to help and provide a quality product at a very, very reasonable price. There will be considerable money left over from that event. Second, many of you see that Fellowship Hall can use a refresher. Somebody mentioned it earlier, the ceiling tiles, the diffusers, and the other areas can be cleaned up and modernized. We can also apply sound dampeners to the walls to make the space more comfortable. I know it's hard to have a conversation down there sometimes, and there's so much that can be done to make this space appealing and a pleasant place that when people come in, that they feel at home in God's house. The exterior of the building needs to be cleaned and painted. I know the conversations last year need to paint the church. All I ask you to go out by those glass double doors and look at that part of the building. Maybe we've grown numb to it. Maybe we never look at that part of the building. Maintenance items. Every one of these doors, if you stand back, you can see gaps between them that allow air, humidity, weather to traverse that space and create an increase to our energy bills. Some of the other things that can be done for our energy bills are quite simply, I think Jim has talked about it, getting a lock on some of these thermostats, that if you come in and you're cold or you're warm, you can turn them up and they'll stay there for an hour, but after that hour, they will turn themselves back. We also need to do a scheduled deep clean in this facility. It's volunteers. It's going to take some effort on all the people here. Perhaps we can organize it. Perhaps maybe not. The other thing I'd like to talk about is what are the duties of the pastor? Because I think often either you think they're not the pastor's duties, or you choose to overlook them, or you choose to do whatever you want to do. There are 4 duties of the pastor: word, order, service, and sacrament. The word is to preach the word on Sundays. I'm here. There's not a time that I'm not here. I have done and made every effort to be here on Sunday, regardless of what's going on in my personal life. Order. What does that mean to anybody? Order the church. Every position in this church, paid and volunteer, unpaid, report to the pastor. Every one. I have not been difficult, contrary to what some of the feedback is. I don't tell the choir what to sing or not sing. I don't tell them what music to play or not play. I have stepped up where I've seen some things that were irregularities in some of our finance and accounting, and that is my job and duty. The next 2 are service, and that is service to the congregation and those in the congregation, and the sacrament. There's only one person in this congregation that is given the authority to provide baptism and Holy Communion. However, there are consecrated elements in a box in the refrigerator in the event that I couldn't be reached, that anybody could take. They're in a baggie in that box. I know Andrea knows where they are. They can take that communion and share it with somebody in the event that I could not be there. All you have to do is take it, pray with them, and offer community communion in the name of Jesus Christ. Last, and I'm prayerful and hopeful, this is a church severely divided. I said the day I came in here, I was going to love you in spite of whatever. There are people here, I mentioned a minute ago, that will not let this church get off its back no matter what. Somebody says right, they're going to say left for no other reason other than it's controversial. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean with you. But I'm going to always err on the side of doing what's right. Always. That's all I have. And anybody here has a question? This meeting, by the way, was never meant to set up to take questions. I'm always available for questions. I am approachable. My door is always open, and I will take any question you have. Yes. Jim asked me to pray us out. Lord, you know our hearts. You know our minds and our thoughts. I ask you to search me, Lord, not just this hour, not this day, but every day I say, search my heart. I ask you to make me a better Christian, not just a better pastor, but a better Christian. I ask, Lord, every day that I'm in this sanctuary at this altar, I beg you, dear Lord, to grow this church together. Sift through the wheat and the chaff. Remove the evil that stands in this place. I ask you each and every day, Lord, that you make each of us better, that you illuminate our paths, that you make us holy, and that you make us pleasing in your sights. Today, Lord, I just echo that prayer. I pray, Lord, that you lift us up. Let the divide and the division be gone. Let us truly come to be followers of Christ and love as He did. Let us recognize one another as sisters and brothers in Christ. Lord, I preach your word in this place, and I get discouraged because just moments later, I wonder what I've preached. I wonder who I preached to. Worship and glorify you and to do your will. And if that's not why we're here, then we're here for the wrong reasons. And Lord, that's my prayer. My prayer, Lord, is that the Holy Spirit descend on this place and change each and every one of us. Not let a stone be overturned. Not let one of us be unchanged. I love you, Lord. I know the people here love you. Let us do your will in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, everybody.